Welcome to the Life of Hair. In this particular episode, we're going to look at bobs. We're going to cut a lovely one length bob. Now, I know that seems like a very simple haircut, but you can do a few things to make it even easier and nail that one length every single time. I think it's one of those haircuts that is massively overlooked in terms of its beauty and how you can actually build a clientele based on your ability to cut beautiful bob shapes. Now, I know sometimes we look at these things and we're like, they're not in trend. They're always there or thereabouts. It never goes too far away from the circle of what's in. I see so many posts about trending haircuts and they're always bobs in there. So I hope you find some useful tips and tricks in this video today. And this video was sponsored by the Life of Hair Academy, which is linked down in the description if you want to take your Life of Hair education to the next level and get some exclusive content where we really dig down into how you can elevate your business as a hairdresser and make more money. Then head over to there and get yourself signed up. I'll see you in the next one.
Let's talk about how I start 99.9% of all of my bobs. I take a section that is just underneath the crest of the occipital bone, and then I take that section and it travels down towards the middle back of the ear on both the left and the right hand side. This section is then cut horizontally, irrelevant of the shape that I'm about to create, 5 to 10 millimeters shorter than my desired outcome. Now, I will say if you're going to cut any graduation or any other shape onto it that will eat into the perimeter line, you do not need to do this. This is purely to avoid graduation on one length bobs. It does work really well on long hair as well, and I've got a full video on it on my Academy site, linked in my description. I then take a section that runs down from the crown area through to the top of the ear, and this section I then cut 5 millimeters or 10 millimeters longer than the perimeter line. In this particular instance, this client's hair is very fine, and I'm not going to be blow drying her hair with a lot of volume, nor is she. So I will only be just going past the perimeter line that I cut in the first place by a few millimeters, because there will be no volume added to the final blow dry. I'm using the inside out method on the right hand side, and this ensures that the scissors are traveling in the same direction on both sides, and it makes it easier for you to get both sides exactly the same length. As you can see at this point in time, I'm just cross checking to make sure that I'm 100% happy and I can move on with my section. Now, this third section is going to be cut 1 millimeter or so longer than the section that I cut previously, and this helps again with preventing graduation from building up. I wouldn't necessarily cut this 5 or 10 millimeters longer than that very first section that I cut. It is literally just 1 millimeter longer than the previous section you cut, and this helps you get a nice clean outline. I then take this section and travel all the way through to the front hairline. Now, if the hair is particularly thick, you could do 4 sections, but I never do more than 4 sections, no matter how thick the hair is. I use the inside out method again on this right hand side, travelling towards the front. This is ensuring that our scissors are travelling in the same direction on both sides. If you were a left-hander, you would be using the inside out method on the left hand side, and you would be using your scissors as you would always on the right hand side. But I'm a right hander, so it's the right hand side where I use the inside out method. It pushes the hair in the same direction and you get even shape both sides. When you are cutting hair, the hair is trapped in between the blades and it is pushed in the direction of which your scissors are traveling. So if you want to get even results on both sides, first time, every time, then do exactly the same thing on both sides. If there's any discrepancies or anything to tidy up, then go back in and cut it in the same fashion that you would always, because at this point you've already done the primary shape. You should only be refining. So we're going to cut in a really nice square fringe onto this client, and one of the things I always do when I'm cutting fringes is that I make sure I use a triangle shaped section that is no wider than the corner of their recession. If you go past the recession, the fringe will sit over the hair, and ultimately you'll get a fringe that does not sit very well when the client comes to do it. Now, this is wrap drying. I'm not going to go into it completely because there is going to be a full tutorial on wrap drying over on my Academy site. It has brought me more clients, and I have retained more clients from that one particular technique than I have from any other technique. I think I can truly say that wrap drying has been the cornerstone to building a successful clientele. And then I personalize and refine the perimeter using a mixture of point cutting techniques and a little bit of clipper action. little bit of clipper action goes a long way to get that really, really blunt, clean line into the hair and make sure that any micro fine graduation is then removed. I then go back in and finally refine the fringe using as little elevation as humanly possible. I know that when I cut the fringe wet, some of you might be watching thinking that actually you wouldn't want to cut someone's fringe wet, but I always leave it a few millimeters longer than the desired result, so I know that when I blow dry it will shrink and that I can go back and refine any graduation that's been built up by using my fingers in the wet phase. And this is the finished result, and I hope you really like it. I really, really love cutting one length bobs. I know they're incredibly simple, but I think there's a lot of people who struggle to get them really clean and even, especially in a professional context, when you're working on a shop floor, making sure that you get those absolutely precise bob shapes. They are absolutely stunning. They're something that never goes out of fashion.